Let's talk about it. Richardson Hitchins is gifted a decision over the lesser known Gustavo Lemos. Now, look, going into the fight, I'll be honest, I really didn't know much about Gustavo Lemos. Of course, as they announced the fight, I watched some of his clips and I saw that he was a pressure fighter. I saw that he will stay in front of you, force you to throw punches, push the pace, and then do damage. And so the key question was going to be, how does Hitchins react to a solid pressure fighter? Now, make no mistake about it, this was supposed to be a litmus test. So they wanted to see if Richardson Hitchins could handle the pressure from Gustavo. And if he could handle the pressure from Gustavo and look good doing it, then perhaps that would give him the confidence to step in the ring with Subriel Martinez. Also, perhaps it would show him that he's improved and that he is ready to step in the ring with Subriel Martinez. So what people don't know is when you're a fighter, all the time you spend in sparring, all the things you do in the gym, it kind of lets you know where your skill sets are. So it lets you know what you're good at, what you're not good at. You tend to know what type of fighters you do well against, what type of fighters you don't do well against. And so something tells me Hitchins knows that he struggles against pressure fighters. And so again, by pressure fighters, it's someone who's going to stay in front of you the entire time, cut off the ring, force you to throw more punches than you're comfortable with. Now, of course, you have to throw hard punches because you have to hit hard enough to get the pressure fighters respect. If you're trying to pity pat, it's not going to work. They're going to stay on. They're going to stay on you, and then in fact, they're going to be hitting you with vicious shots and breaking you down. So you have to throw punches harder, every punch harder than you may like. You have to throw more punches than you may like, and in the end, it wears down the fighter. And to me, you saw that in this fight with Hitchins. You saw Hitchins wasn't comfortable with the pressure. You saw he got hit with big shots. You saw him get rocked. You saw what Yellow Claws, my boy Yellow Claws, dubbed as Clinchison. You saw Clinchison Hitchins reveal himself and get away with it, because I've seen people get points deducted for less holding than Hitchins did in that fight. But we got to remember, Hitchins was the A side. Gustavo Lemos was the lesser known fighter. But just based on what I can recall off the top of my head, you know, Argentina produces some good pressure fighters. You think of Marcos Maidana versus Adrien Broner, Marcos Maidana versus Floyd Mayweather, where Maidana stayed in the pocket, applied the pressure, threw a lot of punches, and made Adrien Broner had to push his pace and throw punches harder than he wanted to. He made Floyd Mayweather have to do the same thing. So you had Brian Castano. He did it to Jermell Charlo. Brian Castano with the first fight, which was a draw. It was the first fight was a draw, and then the second fight, Jermall Charlo was able to stop him once he got better, and he spent the entire training camp preparing for and dealing with a pressure fighter. Dealing with pressure fighters aren't easy for all boxers, because there's certain type of boxers who can't deal with pressure fighters. There are boxers who can deal with pressure fighters. You think of Andre Ward comes to mind. Floyd Mayweather comes to mind. Bernard Hopkins comes to mind. But the type of boxer who can't deal with a pressure fighter used to have a name back in the days when I was in the gym. And the name was called a cutie. Pause. Now, I didn't come up with the name. It was an old school term. But when there was a boxer who looked really good on the mitts, on the bag, and even sparring someone who wasn't a pressure fighter, someone who was a skill for skill type of fighter, high speed chess type of match, the skilled boxer would look really good. But whenever you threw them in the ring with someone who wanted to rough things up, they didn't like it. They never wanted to mix it up. They never wanted to take the punches. They never wanted to stand in the pocket and trade. They were called cuties. It was like, yeah, if you put them in a slow pace fight where they can control the distance, where they're comfortable with the pace or whatever, they look really good. But when you put them in there with someone who's like, forget all that, I'm rushing you the entire time we're in this ring. I'm trying to hit you with hard shots to the body, hard shots over the head. The entire 3 rounds, they didn't like the pressure. They didn't they didn't feel comfortable with it. And so to me, that's what I see in Hitchins. I see someone who really doesn't like it. Now, I'll give him his props. He did mix it up, but he did do a lot of holding, and I don't know how he got 115 or 113 on scorecards. For me, I scored at 115, 113 for Lemos. But again, yeah, he's one of those types of boxers who the old timers back in the days in the gym, they would label him as a cutie. It's like, yeah, he looks good if you put him in the ring with the right opponent. But when you put him in the ring with Lemos, when you put him in the ring with a Subriel, they're not going to let you just do what you want to do. They're not going to let you sit there and control the distance, and they're not going to let you pot shot. They're not going to let you land one nice clean punch. It's like, no, if you don't hit hard enough to keep these guys off of you, they're ruining you the entire fight. And even if you hit hard enough, because you've seen it with Subriel, for sure, even if you hit hard enough, they're still coming at you. They're coming at you, and it's like, yo, either I'm knocking you out or you knocking me out, or we're going 12 rounds, brutal fight. That's just the way it is. So for me, he failed his litmus test. And you'll see later on as we continue, you'll see basically in the next segment, you'll see when I show you. But for me, I thought that Lemos broke Hitchins down. I thought he made Hitchins uncomfortable. You can see in the moments where Hitchins was uncomfortable, he automatically resorted to a clinch. And you would think someone with his skill set would change the angle, try to counter, make him miss, make him pay. That's how Floyd Mayweather used to do it. That's how Andre Ward did it. That's how Bernard Hopkins did it. And so to me, these new age of boxers, when you make them uncomfortable, they don't bite down and they don't get gritty like the old school fighters. Even Ray Leonard did it. He would bite down, sometimes to his detriment. But these new guys, you see, they're uncomfortable with it. And I would throw Shakur Stevenson in there. When you saw him with Edwin De Los Santos, it was like he said he finessed the fight. Yeah, you finessed it, definitely, because at no point in time did you want to bite down and get your respect in the ring. And that's one thing I feel like Floyd was always underrated. Floyd would demand his respect in the ring. Like you saw it with Victor Ortiz. You even saw it with Marcos Maidana, because he had to. At some point, he understands like all the skill stuff is cool, but at some point, I got to let you know that I can hurt you. At some point, I got to let you know you got to respect what I bring to the game. And Hitchins never got that from Lemos. And basically what I saw through the course of 12 rounds, Lemos broke Hitchins down, landed the harder punches. He stayed going forward. And just by the end of the fight, you could see Lemos was getting stronger and he was dominating and taking over the fight. And you can see Hitchins was looking at the clock, and Hitchins was glad that the fight ended because he was breaking down. And so basically my take on this fight was it was a litmus test to see if Hitchins had improved on dealing with pressure fighters, to see how Hitchins would handle a pressure fighter. A pressure fighter he had all the advantages over. He was taller, longer reach. He had the speed advantage. So they put him in there with someone where, all right, it's just they thought it was a safe opponent, and the safe opponent beat him. So now the question is, what do you think would happen if you put him in with an even better, higher caliber pressure fighter? I think most people hold the same opinion, but tune in on the next video to get mine. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out the next video if you have a chance. I'm out. Peace.